Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Nick from Building Indiana, and today we're thinking about sustainable transportation. This has been on the minds of a lot of companies these days, especially those with big fleets. Times are changing, there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of different things that owners should know about. So, to learn more, we reached out to the folks over at South Shore Clean Cities. They are a nonprofit based in St. John, Indiana, and they work to make transportation more sustainable. And one of the ways they do that is by helping companies secure grants to offset the costs of equipment. Now, that can be a lot of different things. It could be electric vehicles, it could be electric vehicle charging stations, it could even be alternatively fueled vehicles. It's a lot. And they've got a strong track record of this. Last year, for example, they helped bring in more than $9 million worth of grants to different entities here in Northwest Indiana. And the big news they had recently is they've been selected by the Department of Energy to take their programming statewide. So today I'm joined by Carl Lissick. He is the Executive Director of South Shore Clean Cities. Thanks for being here with us today, Carl.
Nick, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get right to it. If I was a business owner considering making the switch to a more sustainable fleet, what kinds of things should I be aware of?
So I think, Nick, this is probably one of the misconceptions about sustainable equals more pricey, and this is just not the case. So you have to look at the total return on investment and things like fuel savings, maintenance. So that's the first thing. So I think the second thing that one does, one size doesn't fit all for any of us. So what works for one fleet might not work for yours. It's important to work with us through the Department of Clean Cities. There's about 85 coalitions across the United States. So it's important for folks that have questions to work with an organization like ours, so we can work with you to help you make the best decision for your fleet.
Okay, so what kind of grant funding is out there, and to what degree can these grants help offset these costs?
So there are a number of different state and federal grant funding programs that support these efforts. So I think on a daily basis, we're hit from the media on all these different funding mechanisms that we foresee coming here in the United States. So each funding program that we work on is different in terms of how much of a match they require from an applicant. But some of the programs offer up to about 100% of the project costs. And that is things like infrastructure, as you talked about, to implementation of a variety of vehicles. So we've had tremendous success here in Indiana working with the Indiana Volkswagen Environmental Mitigation Trust Fund and for our members and our partners. So last year alone, Nick, we were able to secure about $5.3 million for our members and partners through the Indiana VW program, which equates to about 110 vehicles that were deployed and pieces of equipment. So that was a pretty big undertaking. So that was just the grant funds. So the project total was probably closer to, with the match and the investment from private and some of our governmental entities, is probably closer to $15 to $20 million. So there's also the US EPA diesel emission reduction grants, which we've had great success. So this really concentrates specifically on diesel emission reductions, specifically in the areas of poor air quality like Northwest Indiana. So we've been able to secure some grants. The most recent grant that we had working in and around the Port of Gary, Port of Indiana, is about a $1.2 million grant that allowed us to replace some older diesel equipment. And then, so some of the other things that we're working on right now is there's a variety of options through the Indiana Office of Energy Development. Particularly right now, there's a grant that's out for rural communities. Rural is defined as serving 30,000 residents or less. So again, if you look at that definition, this is an opportunity for organizations, public, private, to take advantage of this grant. It's up to $40,000, and it's a grant that doesn't require a match. The state also has what are called public safety resilience grants. So we were able to help our area here, Porter County Sheriff's Office, through this program last year, and they purchased the first hybrid Ford police interceptors in the state. So it was a new model that came out from Ford. So it was a hybrid. It provided excellent response. It provided a lot of fuel savings, which is really for a lot of our governmental agencies and for a lot of our businesses, utilities costs associated with transportation or after employee costs and after salaries, things like that. This is probably the second to third biggest expense is its maintenance and the cost of transportation. And then another grant program that we worked with was through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Higher Blends Infrastructure. So we helped a variety of retail groups here in our state put in E15. And so folks like Family Express that people are familiar with, Country Mark and Ceres Solutions and Rensselaer were also groups that put in higher blends of ethanol. So, there's a lot of grants. A lot of these, again, we were focusing more on the governmental entities, but again, many grants are available for public and private entities.
Wow. Okay. So here in Indiana, how accepting have companies been of sustainable transportation in general? What has adoption been like?
So again, Nick, I think one of the things that we don't, as a state, as an area in Northwest Indiana, we don't get a lot of credit, but our Indiana companies have really been leaders, not only in embracing sustainable transportation, but in supporting the industry itself. You often hear about or think about the West Coast or the East Coast when you think about leaders in this area, but the Midwest in Indiana has been incredible. We have Cummins headquartered here in Indiana doing amazing work in advancing alternative fuel systems from the manufacturing side, and companies like McAllister Transportation that we work for, they supply a lot of the bus transportation here in Indiana. And so helping with propane and electric school bus deployments. So last year alone, our members and our partners, we displaced more than 16.8 million gallons of gasoline. So that's equating taking about 32,000 passenger vehicles off the road for a year. So it's clear Indiana companies are embracing sustainable transportation options. We're hearing more and more from folks about how they can work with us and become part of the solution as well. And it's exciting.
That's very cool. One more question for you before we let you go. Now that South Shore Clean Cities is going statewide, what does the future have? What's coming next?
Sure. So we're working on a name change, Nick, and to reflect our statewide designation. So that should be coming very soon. I think you're going to see with our expansion, it's really going to move based on some of the successes that we've had here working with the Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission and the Michiana area of Council of Governments in the South Bend area with our Green Fleet program. And so what we're trying to do is expand this program to other metropolitan organizations across our state so that these other regions can get the same kind of cost savings and emission reductions that we've been able to see here in Northern Indiana. So that was the model that we proposed to the U.S. Department of Energy for our proposal to actually manage this statewide program. And so they were impressed with the success we've had and how the program is really enveloped and developed here in Northern Indiana. And that's really a testament to the people that we work with, you, the listeners, and the fleets. It's not what we're doing, it's what you're doing. And so we're really proud of Northwest Indiana. And I'd be remiss because it's all about partnerships, Nick, and we're just very proud of these folks. So I'd also like to mention that we still plan on maintaining our headquarters here in Northwest Indiana in St. John. We'll be working out of across the state. We'll be partnering with Purdue Research Park. So they have locations in other parts of the state. So we're really excited to have other locations throughout the state of Indiana with the Purdue Research Park.
Well, we're excited to see what happens next too. Well, thank you for being with us, Carl Lissick, Executive Director of South Shore Clean Cities. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.